Greetings and welcome. It's an honour to have you here at the Saphira Centre of Shamanism, where we break down the ancient esoteric practices of shamanism and the occult, bringing them into balance with the deep psyche. My name is Luke, experienced practitioner and mentor of the shamanic and occult sciences. It's an honour to have you here. Thank you for joining me. Be sure to find me over on Patreon if you're wanting access to lots of powerful occult initiatory systems and practices. You will find everything that was previously available on my website available on this Patreon, as well as many other occult rituals, invocations, many different very powerful path workings, with new content uploaded multiple times per week. You will gain access to this at just £20 per month. Or if you're wanting something more premium, an opportunity to work more closely with me, then check out the Saphira Shamanic School within the first link of the description of this video. I look forward to seeing you over there. Today, we're going to be discussing the Black Sun, a mysterious occult concept and technology, and a core aspect of initiation through the Qliphoth. The Black Sun is also called Thagirion, and Thagirion is the shadow aspect of Tiferet, which is the solar sphere within the Sephirothic tree of life. Whereas the light matter sun of form illuminates and radiates, the black sun vampirizes, shines only for itself. When you encounter the black sun within your initiatory process, it will work subtly but powerfully to dissolve pretense and illusions of grandeur that are preventing your full evolutionary potential. The black sun is an extremely quiet energy, almost eerily quiet. It is said that when you face the black sun within your initiatory process, that all of your guides leave you. I can definitely vouch for that because when you enter the Qliphothic sphere of Thagirion, the black sun, it feels extremely quiet, literally like so quiet to the point where it's I'm not used to this. Part of it is like really nice. It's like, okay, this is really quiet. I'm not used to this. But part of it is also quite scary. The black sun can feel like a very isolating energy and something that works so subtly and intangibly. In my view, energies that are far less tangible are much harder to work with than energies that are tangible. For example, there are certain aspects of the Qliphoth that I found much easier, particularly those that are very tangible in the body. Okay, for example, Golachub, which is just pure fire within the body, extremely tangible physically. I found that quite an easy energy to wield purely because it was strong and tangible. Whereas the Black Sun, on the other hand, is much more intangible and requires much more paradox. When you initiate through the Black Sun, you merge with it and it dissolves the solar plexus in its totality. This basically means that you're no longer limited by predefined aspects of pretense and illusionary power dynamics. Once you've initiated through the Black Sun sphere, you then have access to the Black Sun in a way that other types of practitioners that may have not initiated through the Black Sun will not. You are able to call upon the Black Sun to vampirize any type of illusion. For example, I do healing sessions and I activate the Black Sun always in my healing sessions with the intention for it to dissolve illusion, to clear space for truth and authenticity to be reconstructed. So when you face the Black Sun from an initiatory perspective, this is exactly what happens. You go through a process of having your illusions vampirized. You are tested through means of thinking that you've come further than you have, tested through means of false illumination and false clarity in order to get you to see past it. When I was working with the Black Sun for the first time, I was getting very strong gnosis into how the entire spiritual community is built off of pretense. Everything around you when you're working with the Black Sun energy can feel like pretense. But the thing with the Black Sun is that it shows you how to basically choose the mask that is resonant with your truth and authenticity, which is very conflicting to how a lot of people see these types of darker energies. Okay, a lot of people in the left-hand path see these types of energies as dissolving the ego to the point where you can't have any masks anymore, but then you wouldn't be functioning within the material world. Okay, it's not possible to function in the material world without an ego. The black sun is basically what triggers the initial dismantling of solidified egoic structures, which result in a very powerful and paradoxical ascension process that happens through having your illusions devoured by this energy. So once your illusions are devoured by this energy, you are then able to adjust the pretense according to your truth and authenticity. So instead of being like black and white, you're either in your falsehood or you're not. You're actually in a space whereby you are choosing the mask consciously. Okay, and the black sun is able to destroy any type of illusion and reconstruct any type of truth, which means that you can also call upon this energy to destroy any energy and create energy of any kind, which means that once you've initiated into it, the black sun can be called upon for healing, can be called upon for dissolution, for a variety of extremely dynamic purposes. So we're going to be discussing the black sun in depth today, exploring the initiatory process and understanding how you can work with it from an evolutionary point of view. Absolutely essential, so definitely stay tuned. So Thagirion is awesome. The Black Sun is awesome. We're talking about the center point of the adversary as a whole and the inversion of Christ consciousness, which means that this is the Antichrist consciousness. Within both trees, the sphere of the sun is the center point and represents the sun of the masculine and feminine energy. So in the Sephirothic tree of life, you have Binah and Hokmah as the divine feminine and masculine. From these two spheres, two diagonal pathways lead down into the sphere of the sun, which is symbolic of the fact that Tifereth is the son of God, whereas in the Qliphoth it's the same thing, with Satariel and Gagiel being the daemonic masculine and feminine, leading down diagonally into Thagirion, which basically means that Thagirion is the son, the offspring of the daemonic divine masculine and feminine. From an initiatory standpoint, Thagirion marks a very important turning point within your evolutionary process, purely because it is the first sphere within the inverted ethical triad. And the ethical triad is the second triad. Okay, if I show the Qliphoth here, just for clarity, you will see that this middle sphere, Thagirion, is connected to Golachab and Gag-Shibla. This is the ethical triad, the inverted ethical triad, whereas thus far, before you enter the sphere of Thagirion, you have initiated through the astral triad, the inverted astral triad, which is Gamaliel, Samael, and Arabzarak. So when you enter Thagirion, you enter a realm which is extremely quiet. Okay, all the noise disappears within Thagirion. All of the external noise disappears, which makes a very big difference from the sphere that comes before it, which is Arabzarak. In my view, Arabzarak was extremely loud, extremely dissolving, and very, very, very chaotic, dealing with coping mechanisms, false leadership, all kinds of things that are resonant with Baal. So when I went into Thagirion, I was a bit shocked by the silence that was there. Okay, it was just a completely silent realm. Astrally, when I travelled into this realm, it took on the form of a black field with black grass. It was like everything was kind of black and white. It's a very strange sort of feel to it, to the point where I couldn't even hear my own words. I would talk and I wouldn't be able to hear my own words, which is symbolic of external pretense and guidance being completely removed, leaving only the true essence within. Within this realm, standing in the middle of this field, was Belphegor, the amazing ruler of this sphere. Belphegor took on the form of a big Grim Reaper-like character, very, very, very tall, and then led me over to the edge of the field and showed me the Black Sun in its totality, which was literally just a pure void space. He instructed me to go and sit in the middle of this void space, so I did. I sat there and just let the energy dissolve. It was a beautiful feeling, but when it streams into day-to-day life, it starts to subtly burn away illusions in the background. Thagirion basically initiates you through means of seeing past pretense and illusions of grandeur. Many people get fooled by the subtlety of this particular sphere because of how sub-perceptual the energy of Thagirion actually is compared to the other spheres that you've been through. It can feel like you have already integrated it, and it can also feel like you have come further in your initiatory path than you have. And this is how Belphegor initiates you. He is symbolic of sloth, the infamous daemon of sloth. So therefore he initiates you through overindulgence, having to see beyond overindulgence, having to see beyond your own illusions of grandeur. He also exposes illusions within the world around you, and you can go through processes whereby it almost feels like it's pointless even saying anything or describing any type of experience, because it's like, am I just pretending? Oh no, that's pretend, and that's pretend. It can be very black and white at first, but after a while, you're actually realizing that, oh, it's not about completely removing all of the masks. It's about removing your attachment to the masks. And this is exactly what Thagirion means, okay? Thagirion means the disputer, which is basically everything that is there to shatter the illusions of false illumination. Whereas Tifereth is all about illumination, beauty, healing. In Thagirion, you're facing the illusions of healing. You're facing the illusions of evolution, the illusion of illumination as a whole. What causes this dissolving process to be so significant is also the merging with your true God self away from predefined illumination and godhood. And this is where it really differs from Tifereth. Tifereth is all about understanding how you are God incarnate, how you are a kind of deified consciousness, okay? Because Tifereth is all about Christ consciousness, you're basically shown your oneness with God, okay? And you also build a strong connection to what many traditions would call the HGA, the Holy Guardian Angel. Whereas in Thagirion, you are facing the aspect of you that exists outside of Christ consciousness, and you start to build a connection with the adversarial aspect of your soul. So instead of connecting to the Holy Guardian Angel, you are connecting to the personal daemon. The purpose of this sphere is to create a merging with the angel and the beast, okay? Merging your conscious mind with the beast so that you can start to perceive yourself as an extension of demonic consciousness. This is where you really start to perceive your own divinity from within your physical body, which makes it an extremely important stage of the initiatory process. What Thagirion also shatters is what I feel to be the projection of sovereignty onto external divinities, whereas the Christ consciousness with Tifereth is all about understanding your connection to God whilst within a physical body. With Thagirion, it's the opposite. Thagirion tests you through means of not projecting your sovereignty onto spirits, because you are the daemon. From Thagirion onwards, everything that you are doing is feeding your primal self instead of feeding your falsehood. Everything that you encounter from the Qliphothic sphere of Thagirion onwards in your initiatory process is feeding your own personal daemon. Instead of having to go to a spirit to request something or go to an external divinity to request something in particular. You are becoming the very essence of what it is that you are seeking, which means that it causes a big sort of elevation in consciousness through understanding your own divinity by having the illusions of divinity slowly dissolved from your field. It is an absolutely epic initiatory process that happens in quite an uncomfortable slash sub-perceptual way. It depends on what you're like as a person. If you're somebody who likes things to be intense, if you're like me who likes things to be intense and in a way, on some level, can draw aspects of your self-worth through how intense your initiatory path is, Thagirion doesn't really work like that. This means that you may find Thagirion a lot harder than other spheres purely because Thagirion will not give you the external noise that you feel you need to justify the fact that you are doing enough. Okay, it won't do that at all. It will operate in a way that you can barely perceive. This is the challenge with Thagirion. It operates in a way that you can barely perceive on the individual level, and it's not going to give you the noise that maybe some of the other spheres will give you, which is what makes it quite a challenging sphere as a whole. So I'm going to read a piece of text that I put on Patreon a little while ago about the Black Sun in detail. Thagirion, the Qliphothic sphere of the Black Sun, is the shadow counterpart of Tifereth on the Tree of Life, and represents the dark, inverted essence of solar power, so the opposite of illumination. Where Tifereth embodies harmony, balance, and divine beauty, Thagirion channels the raw egoic force of self-deification, ambition, and spiritual pride. It is the sphere where the aspirant merges with the Black Sun itself, a pure solar fire that has the purpose of true ignition of the divine spark within self. This is the pure force of individuation, adversarial truth, and radical sovereignty. Okay, so this is where the real individuation starts to take place within the tree. You're no longer seeing the potential as something that's outside of you, but you're understanding your own autonomy, free from the illusions and the limitations of Christ consciousness as a stand-alone concept. Ruled by the infamous Belphegor, the demon of sloth, Thagirion teaches that enlightenment comes not through surrender, but through confrontation with the shadow and unapologetic self-empowerment. In this sphere, the initiate is called to confront and integrate their deepest desires, their power-hungry ambitions, and egoic flaws, with the purpose of mastery over these different egoic tendencies, not the complete obliteration of them. Essential. Okay, you're not dissolving your ego. Okay, many left-hand path practitioners, oh, I'm dissolving my ego. I don't have ego anymore. No, okay, you are gaining mastery over it. You're maturing the ego. And the Black Sun is the last sphere or the last phase of initiation that takes place within the inverted pillar of equilibrium on the tree, which is the middle pillar of equilibrium, and basically represents, I feel, a less intense version of Darth. Okay, it's absolutely fascinating. Where are we looking here? So, the energy of Thagirion is not evil in the traditional sense, but a pure, amoral, creative, and destructive force that brings divine fire that elevates those strong enough to endure its burning. The Black Sun becomes a symbol of inner sovereignty, adversarial gnosis, and the godhood that lies beyond pre-imposed light. Walking the path of Thagirion is to claim the right to define one's own reality, to rise as a Death Star in the abyss, and to shine with a light that is wholly one's own. So again, it's very much about detaching from a pre-imposed state of light and understanding your own primal self. Okay, this is where, as I mentioned, the adversarial essence really starts to emerge from your being. You start to develop a connection with a different aspect of your soul that you have always had within you, but you have learnt through your deeper layers of programming that are not fully safe to feel and embody. The Black Sun, as I said, operates in a very powerful way in the background, okay? It comes through sudden realizations. It kind of feels like it's just sort of subtly burning flame, okay? Whereas Tifereth would be very tangible light and illumination. This is the complete opposite to that, okay? Does not care about the noise, does not care about giving you the fireworks, but cares about quieting your consciousness completely, removing the influence of any external energy, any external divinity, any external spirit guide, so that you can become your own guide, okay? We become reliant on our spirit guides often. We become reliant on external divinities, okay? You can even become reliant on daemons, okay? Oh, I have to invoke a certain amount of spirits, or I have to invoke this spirit regularly in order to gain full power to its essence. What happened with me is within this sphere, I started to build a very strong relationship with the concept of unconscious invocation as you know it. I was still invoking spirits here and there, but this sphere really brought a level of discernment to what I was tapping into and invoking consciously. I realized here that a lot of my intentions for invoking spirits and tapping into different types of adversarial energies was actually coming from lack, and I was projecting this adversarial fire that is represented by Thagirion into the external world and into these external divinities, when in reality Thagirion wants you to see these different spirits as very pure forces that represent external divinities, yes, but from your evolutionary point of view, they really represent personifications of various different aspects of yourself that are really here to help you to get to know yourself better. And so when you embody the Black Sun, this is where a type of vampiric metamorphosis starts to unfold, okay? It prepares you for the abyssal crossing by dismantling pre-imposed illusions of grandeur and pre-imposed egoic structures and predefined ideas as to what divinity and what God is as a whole, and basically turns you into a devourer of those things. So when you are embodying the Black Sun, you are seeing every encounter as an archetypal force of a very personal evolutionary process for you. Every person, every encounter, every divinity is there to either feed your fire or dim your fire, okay? And this is where deeper levels of discernment with the types of people that you associate yourself with, the types of groups, the types of people that you work with really come through, okay? It's very hard to be living a reality that is built off of pretense whilst in the sphere of Thagirion, okay? I've heard of people who have, say, been working in the corporate world in their initiatory process who have gone into Thagirion, and then they've literally like experienced the company that they're working in literally slowly get driven into the ground. Okay, I heard a story once of somebody who initiated into Thagirion, somebody who I've worked with quite closely, who initiated into Thagirion right back in lockdown period. Okay, they initiated into Thagirion and they worked in corporate but for a travel company at the time. And what then started to happen as a result of their initiatory process, or as a synchronicity, is that it tied in with COVID, and they basically started experiencing, basically from the day that they initiated into Thagirion, they started experiencing the marketing numbers of the company, the sales and transactions just slowly trickle down, because obviously during lockdown, or at the beginning of lockdown, nobody was traveling at all, right? So this person literally witnessed their entire company dissolve around them gradually. It was like one day, oh, we're getting a certain number of transactions, this many people are traveling. And then it just slowly trickled down until boom, there was nobody traveling. Obviously that had collective implications as well, but these are the types of synchronicities that are cultivated through the sphere of Thagirion. The dissolving of the material, and how difficult I feel this particular initiatory force is for a person is highly dependent on how attached they are to their predefined identity structures and their predefined pretense and illusions of of grandeur. The issue is that many people don't want to let go of their illusions of grandeur, and they don't want to let go of their material level comforts. Okay, and this is what I call getting caught within the trap of Belphegor. Okay, Belphegor being the core initiator of the Black Sun is very much responsible for initiating you through the internal need that you have to indulge, the internal need that you have to embody all things that are relating to sloth, all things that are relating to, oh, it's just easier just to stay where I am because this represents more comfort for me than actually stepping beyond this. Okay, and I've experienced it where if somebody is say working in a corporate job or working in a job that is not actually feeding their fire in any way whatsoever, then I've seen Thagirion literally just gradually dissolve the material aspects of their lives. Okay, and Thagirion can test you through money trials as well. So Belphegor is often seen as an abundance daemon, which means that he initiates through the paradox. So I've heard of people actually experience having their money taken away within Thagirion, or having a core income source that sustained a certain level of falsehood for them, but was not actually feeding their true godhood and adversarial fire. I've seen people go into this sphere and have that completely dissolved. But with Thagirion, what makes it challenging is that it doesn't dissolve in a directly tangible way. Whereas other spheres like Golachub are much more, say, aggressive and come through like tower moments. So when I say much more aggressive, I'm sort of meaning like it's a tangible fire that is burning through. You're basically entering into the furnace here. It is burning away everything that is repressing your passion. Whereas with Thagirion, it's very slow energy. That's what I mean. It's very, very similar to that of the Da'ath. In fact, it's like a watered down version of the Da'ath that is necessary for one to go through before entering into the Qliphothic abyss, purely because it works extremely slowly, like the void energy. So the dissolving that takes place is either very, very subtle in the background, or it's just kind of like it just results in like the gradual disintegration. It's literally like a gradual melting away of pretense and illusions of grandeur. So here, in order to really master the Black Sun, we have to live a reality whereby we are not bound to particular material aspects of self. It doesn't neglect the need for the material because you're still dwelling within the world around you, but the trials will take place through removing your attachment to the material world, which will open you up to greater levels of abundance as a whole. This is the thing. The Black Sun operates through extreme paradoxical energy. So what you are dissolving, what you're losing, will eventually basically get propelled forward. I've heard some practitioners describe Thagirion as like a type of evolutionary launch pad. And obviously with a launch pad, you first have to sink into it before it actually propels you forward. It's like the rubber band theory, right? It's like you've got to really sink back and let everything sink away, let everything melt away that isn't in harmony with you before you get propelled forward. And that is the impact that Thagirion definitely has. For myself, when I initiated into this sphere, I already had a lifestyle that was quite in harmony with what it is that my true will was here to do. I think due to my prior experience with shamanism and going through different initiatory processes, my lifestyle was structured in a way that was already supportive of the nature of Thagirion. So this meant that for me, Thagirion was happening on a much more psychological level, instead of a directly material level. Okay, with Arabzarak and all of the previous spheres, there was already a lot that was dissolved around various different attachments to the material. So that wasn't really the problem that I was facing within Thagirion. For me, it was more about, the realization of pretense, the realization of how pretend the entirety of the spiritual community actually is, like really gaining gnosis into how very clever illusions are fed into one's spiritual development path in order to hide from themselves. I started to develop a very different belief around, say, the entire therapeutic system, which is built from again, a huge illusion of grandeur. Okay, the entire therapeutic system, or the majority of the Western therapeutic system, built off of a Freudian model, which, for those who don't know, Sigmund Freud was a cocaine addict. So really kind of seeing how, our entire sort of therapeutic system is actually built in a way that completely inverts healing. So it was very deep realizations like that, so very deep realizations about what healing and transformation really is. And healing and transformation happens through the paradoxical energy of the black sun. Real healing and transformation happens through the paradoxical energy of the black sun, through having the illusions completely taken away by the black sun, so that the truth can then be spawned from the soil that has been freed up from that vampirism process, from that vampirism of illusion. So from an evolutionary point of view, once you have tapped into the black sun and merged with it, you can activate it and bring it in for numerous purposes. Okay, so healing is an amazing one. You can basically bring it in to propel the effect of any type of ritual, or literally anything that basically requires a devouring of illusion and the reconstruction of truth. So this basically means that from a psychological and maybe even a physical healing perspective, there are internal foundations that need to dissolve. So you can bring in Thagirion to dissolve those illusionary foundations, to then clear space for something new to be cultivated. So you would always bring in Thagirion into a ritual, or into whatever it is that requires a creation and destruction process, that requires a prior deconstruction and then a reconstruction to take place on the top of that. It is a beautiful energy, and you can use it in a way that is highly personal to you. Ultimately, it's the same with all of the spheres, but this is definitely, out of all of the spheres, alongside the Da'ath, which isn't a sphere, but again, something that you can call upon sort of as and when, once you've initiated through it, it's definitely one of the most dynamic that you can use for a variety of different purposes. You can use it for general emotional and physical healing. You can use it for abundance. You can use it for all types of different things. It's absolutely amazing. But for now, I think that's everything that I needed to talk about the black sun. It's an amazing energy, beautiful current to work with, powerful initiatory process that is necessary to prepare you for the deeper levels of deconstruction in the later parts of the initiatory process, and is the necessary phase of merging with your true adversarial nature, so that you're not seeking validation from external divinities or the external world. Absolutely essential. But for now, thank you guys. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if this video was helpful to you, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.